The second part of our introduction series deals with the camera-related infos and buttons of the DJI Go 4 app. First of all, let's have a look at the photo video button. Tapping it will change from photo mode to video mode. With it, a few icons and information will change. We will get to that in a moment because we will discuss all of the icons. Let's start from the top. Most of these items are not clickable and only display settings you can change somewhere else. We will deal with all camera settings in a separate movie. Okay? Let's go. ISO, shutter speed, exposure value and white balance are photography terms. If you are not familiar with these and want to know more about photography, let us recommend our other YouTube channel called Photo 1x1, where we teach you everything you need to know about photography. The next icon displays the image quality or video resolution, depending on whether you are in photo mode or video mode. In photo mode, the following options are available. RAW, to capture uncompressed digital images that are perfect for people who want to get the most out of each image in your editing software on your computer. The file size of a RAW file is about 4 times larger than JPEG. Which brings us to the next file format, JPEG. It is for people who won't do much editing with their images. And lastly, you can capture both RAW and JPEG to have one version for post-production and one to immediately show to your family and friends. In video mode, the first number will display the resolution, 4K or 1080p, which in other words is Full HD. The second number indicates the frame rate in frames per second. In PAL countries, you'd usually see 25. In NTSC countries, that would be 30. Alternatively, you can set 50 or more frames per second. That can be used to create slow motion videos later. Higher frame rates are not available in 4K. If you forgot to insert your SD card, the app will tell you that it is not available. The next information is the remaining capacity of your SD card. It shows the number of images that are left in photo mode or available minutes in video mode. If no card is inserted, this icon will change to a small smartphone symbol and show the capacity in gigabytes that is left on your smartphone or tablet. The next button we will discuss lets you change between autofocus and manual focus. Especially when shooting video, manual focus is a good choice because you will have consistent sharpness throughout the video. What does that change? We get a new button to the left and there will be a new focus slider. Let's deal with the focus slider first. My advice: don't use it. In my time as a filmmaker, I have worked a lot with focus devices, but the screen resolution paired with the outdoor reflection on your tablet, even on an iPad Air, is not good enough to really set focus using this slider. Plus, there is a better option. If you decide to still give it a try, sliding up will bring the focus further into the distance and sliding down will bring it closer, which is a little weird because the icons would suggest otherwise. So how do we usually use manual focusing? Let us first remove the dimming. In general, drone footage shows landscapes that are very far away, so you will hardly ever need the closer focus areas. We use autofocus first, so let's get back to autofocus and tap on the screen to focus on a very distant subject. Then we tap the AFC-MF button to fix this focus. That's it. No touching of any slider and it works 100%. We usually do that once after takeoff and keep it during the flight. Next, let's check that new button. Regarding to the manual, this should change between focus mode and metering mode. So let's click it to get to the metering mode. Now tap somewhere on the screen and the camera will use this small spot to evaluate the brightness of your image using so-called spot metering. Because this area was very bright, the camera darkens the image to adjust for the bright clouds. Usually the brightness is set on an average of the complete screen, but using this trick you can set it to a specific spot. Many of you know that from your smartphones. Spot metering is nice for photos, but not so much for videos, because if you pan to the right, the spot will now measure the dark blue sky area and completely overexpose our video. Unless you make use of the next button, but we will get to that in a second. Tapping this button again brings us back to focus mode. But since we are in manual focus, that won't change anything and we can't do anything on the screen, which is a little weird. I'd rather call this a bug. Okay, we've been talking about image brightness. The last icon in the row lets you lock the exposure, or in other words, the brightness. So if you chose the spot metering before for a specific area, you can now lock it to have your video equally bright no matter where your aircraft turns. That is usually how professional video productions are made. Same brightness for a complete scene. Another use would be, for example, taking a panorama and have every single image with the same brightness to later be able to seamlessly stitch them into one image. The next item we will discuss is the Gimbal Slider. It indicates your vertical camera angle. So whether it is pointing forward or down, you can control the angle of the gimbal with your remote controller. The next button should be pretty familiar. It will trigger the recording of a video when it is red and you're in video mode, or take an image when it is white and you're in photo mode. In case there is no SD card in the aircraft, it will show this symbol. If you still tap the trigger, it will tell you that the photos or videos will be saved in the Go app cache of your mobile device. If you click OK, the trigger button changes and displays a smartphone icon to tell you that the media is recorded on smartphone only. This should just be an emergency solution in case you forgot your card at home, especially for video, because the quality saved on the tablet is much worse. Usually it is better to land and insert a card. Make sure you have more than one card and keep a spare card in the bag in case you forget the other one. The next icon below lets you enter the camera settings menu. Here you can set, for example, the image brightness completely manual and work with so-called manual exposure, which is an awesome idea. But we will deal with these settings in a later movie. Tap anywhere beside the box to exit. If you are in manual exposure mode, the icon will now look slightly different, showing a small M. And the last button in this video lets you enter playback mode to review photos and videos. This is a rather slow process, so you better save your aircraft battery unless it is really important to check your recorded media. That's it for the second part. Next is the third and last part of our introduction series, before we get into the details of menus and flight modes. In case you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate. See you later!